I've wanted to write about the Mucus Flow for a very long time. It's been occupying space in my mind ever since I found Doomworld's Top 100 Most Memorable Maps article, which I reference so often that people in my life who know nothing about Doom are very familiar with it at this point. The Mucus Flow placed third on Doomworld's list, behind only Misery Halek and Deuce Volt. It's described by RDWPA as a tech complex set in a rocky wilderness left scarred by acid. It is as spiteful as it is desolate. Sometimes I read things and they tumble around my head for an unusual stretch of time. The longer the idea hangs around, the more significance I attribute to it. The process almost always culminates in the beginning of my next obsession. This has happened with new artists, movies, books, TV shows, and of course, Doom. All this to say, before I even booted it up, the Mucus Flow had taken on an almost mythic status in my mind, though I wasn't without my skepticism. The map author was BPRD, after all, the guy who did Nuts.wad. I had to see for myself whether the hype was legitimate, so I downloaded Community Chest 2, grinded through it, and eventually arrived at map 24. My first encounter with the Mucus Flow was in the middle of a single segment run, so I was almost fully stacked with ammo left over from Death Mountain. As such, I scoffed at the huge supply cache behind me and moved on. I was, however, immediately struck by the MIDI, with its quiet tintinnabulation and mournful quality. I plowed through the first few rooms, admired the scenery, poked my head into Chain Gunner Gorge, and started shooting them like an idiot. See, I remember the Doomworld article saying something about chain gunners, but only after dumping a few hundred rounds into the endlessly respawning sentries in the first tower did I finally check Doom Wiki and give up. I kept plowing through the level, shooting everything, blithely unaware of how seriously the hits I was taking were going to cost me. Then I finally realized BPRD already gave me all the health and ammo I was going to get back at the start. I greedily snapped up a partial invisibility, sprinted through the chain gunner gauntlet, and gobbled up health and ammo in the Oasis, but the dread was starting to seep in, because I had no idea what to expect from the rest of the map, and I knew there was only one more partial invisibility I could use to make the trip back. I started thinking, what kind of level designer forces you not to take damage or shoot anything? Keep in mind I'd never played anything by BPRD before. So I gritted my teeth and persisted. I grabbed every key, not knowing they were optional for non-pistol starts, made at least 2 non-invisible trips through Chain Gunner Gorge, didn't find a damn secret, and made a horrible discovery. The map was broken. Even though I was playing in Z-Doom, which Doom Wiki said would fix it, I couldn't activate the switch to open the last area. So I no-clipped through that door, bumbled my way through the epic final fight with no ammo, ran past the last few enemies, and after 2, maybe 3 hours, finally exited with like 38% kills. I threw up my hands, tired, dejected, and frankly angry, and I quit for the day. I walked away from the Mucus Flow for a while, but it didn't walk away from me. That MIDI in particular really haunted me. If you've listened to it and played the map it belongs to, you know the kind of beautiful desperation it can conjure. I can't really go into detail here, but I started to pair the music with feelings of hopelessness I was experiencing in my own life. I began to fixate on it, playing it on loop in my head for days on end. The more I thought about the Mucus Flow and its music, the more a new perspective slowly began to gestate in my mind. First, it's important to emphasize that everything you're looking at and hearing in the Mucus Flow is BPRD's creation. He's the designer and composer, and every decision he made, we have to assume he made for a reason. The chain gunners, the rampant pain elementals, the mandatory resource rationing, the blistering ambushes, the absurdly cryptic secrets, those tiny, annoying switches, but also the immaculate lighting, the implacable, austere environment, cute details like this bucket under a leak in the ceiling, the uncanny wall textures that always seem to be watching you, and of course, that chilling, churning, heart-pounding music. None can deny that the Mucus Flow is immersive, but I understand why some people might be repelled by its severity and oppressiveness. I think BPRD runs that risk to bring you a rush like no other when you finally triumph over it all. You didn't kick ass, but you did survive. People aren't used to feeling weak when they play Doom, but I think that's what the Mucus Flow goes for. Struggling to hack through a high tide of lost souls with my chainsaw, praying for good infighting, desperately flailing at imps, hands sweating, clock ticking down till more enemies round the corner. I feel like I'm in a fight for my life. Every bullet counts, every fireball has heft to it, every death takes real time off my life. First-time players are likely to feel actual panic as they face the cold grip of their mortality. That little hiccup of, oh god, I'm out of ammo and they're still coming. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. The most extraordinary thing about the Mucus Flow is that it's flawed, and actually kind of funny. I mean, BPRD works his ass off on what ultimately becomes a hugely influential map in the community, something people still play 16 years later, but leaves a fatal error in it? And names it the Mucus Flow, with the source of the green spillage being a large runny nose? I've spent more hours of existential pondering on this Doom map about snot than on probably anything I read in college, and I admit, I am kind of weird. But I know for a fact there's genius in here somewhere. The juxtaposition between the map's hostility and silliness is disarmingly human, and that runny nose secret is actually a profound acknowledgement of the player. It's like BPRD saying, good for you. You found the big secret. I hope you're not too mad at me for putting you through all this. I used to think BPRD simply got off on making people angry, and that might still be the case, but the Mucus Flow inspires too much terror, wonder, and fascination for that to be the only reason he created it. Against all odds, the Mucus Flow is life-affirming. It feels bigger than Doom. It's an adventure, a joke, a work of art, a trial by fire, a dark night of the soul. I hope that one day I'll be lucky enough to have a conversation with BPRD. I'm so glad I could share this with you all. The world of Doom is awash with creativity, and I encourage you not to wait for a video to bring it to you. Take a dip in Doom World or the Doom Wiki. Do some research. Heck, even download Doom Builder and have a crack at making your own masterpiece. Who knows? Maybe it'll become your next obsession.